Hello there. I pray that your night is becoming so refreshed from all day long. I know mine is. I want to say good evening to you, and I pray that you're getting ready to have some real deep, sweet sleep. I wanted to come talk to you really, really briefly now about what you see there in my topic. We're on part two of yo yo relationships. And I'm hoping I can close that off and kind of talk to you a little bit from one of my books that's called Attachments, Foresight, Unconscious Blood Type Personalities. But I've thought about this today as I was resting and thinking about how many, times I've listened to people that have went through so much trauma and many are still facing, these vicious, conscious, self-inflicted, and maybe some may be unconscious, because of so much trauma. But I just want to just talk about soul hoarding a little bit from my book, but I want to start out just talking about that flyer that I sent out about those who may be inspiring. I mean, that is aspiring, and thinking about those who are counselors, those who are coaches, those who are mentors, those who are doing advocacy work. I think it's important for us to take a minute, and I pray you be to join me on the 29th of this month at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time and just kind of join me to talk about some things that we need to do to make sure we're preparing ourselves to get people to a wholeness and healing, because so many people are hurting about past relationships and so much bitterness and unforgiveness. As one that survived a many things, I bless God today that He just blessed me to be able to have peace. I was sitting here thinking about it before I got ready to get on here. I thought, God, I just love you so much for peace. And then kudos for those that are getting married or that are engaged and that want to be married. I pray that God will send you a good husband or a good wife. But at this point in my life, I'm just so married to the Lord till I just sit back and think about what would I be doing if I was married. I don't know if we'd be good at this point because I'm so married to the Lord. So this is why we got to know that we want to be married, because now you have to separate your time, and you have to also make sure that you know how to have boundaries when it comes to other people in your time. So let's talk a little bit about Proverbs 18 and 14. I want to share this because when we think about the spirit of a man, it tells us that the spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit, who can bear? I mean, who can bear that? That people walking around with wounded spirits, and these spirits are wounded because you're carrying somebody else's soul around. That's why it's called soul hoarding. You don't realize that you're actually carrying this other person's soul. But here's the deal before I get into reading a few pages out of my book, that I pray that it'll impact you. When I start thinking about touch, out of our five senses, the one that's very, very critical now that we need to think on better and have a very great conscious thought about it is touch. Why? Because when you think about touch, that's one of the most powerful things that a person can do to us. Because if you touch someone the wrong way, like hit them, or we can talk about the outer part, meaning the inner part, the emotional part, but that's very, very traumatic. But just touch, when you hit someone or you hurt someone physically, but when we touch someone, as far as an emotion is concerned, now we are opening up our soul. That means now we have this unplanned sometime, this unrehearsed sometime place that we arrive to that's unannounced. All we know is that we have now this feeling because our emotions and jumped in place here. But when we take a risk like that, these places that are unrehearsed, that are not prayed about, we soon to discover that now our soul has already been clicked into, and it has a continuous flow of emotions going all kind of ways. I wonder did they like me? I wonder was the sex good? I wonder did I do that better, and better than the last person, to make them feel like that they want me more. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But when I think about just a living, breathing, talking, person that God has gifted us to be alive with this soul, are we really taking, a good assessment about touch? Are we really conscious about touch, or are you just walking around unconscious? So, Father, I pray that they hear tonight. So about soul hoarding. Okay. So I'm hoping that this is part two. We'll close off tonight because I really want to come back and talk to you all about some spiritual awakening and give you some signs to think about that, about are you really woke or are you sleep? So let's jump in here really quick. I want to talk about this book again. It's called Attachment Chronicles, about unconscious soul hoarding. And I want to keep it real to you about these areas that a lot of times we hoard in our soul because we don't even recognize the fact that some of the things that are unconscious, the devil wants to use them from your past. He wants to use them from your hurts. He wants you to make sure that you're spiritually blinded from those areas that you know you need counseling about, from those areas that you know that you keep in secret. And guess what? Now you have a roommate in your soul that you keep on covering up. I don't want to preach. You keep on covering up with things that looks more comfortable for you. You dress it up, you title it up, you eat it up. Let's don't leave it out because that's one thing I used to do. I used to eat up everything because I think about all the secret things. So I would gain weight. I know I'm talking to somebody just sit up and eat stuff and getting fat. Figure, well, nobody want me anyway, so I don't care about my size. But listen to me. God has somebody for you. Don't sit up and eat all that food and get big and think you ain't worth nothing. God wants to let you see that He has someone designedly appointed for you because you too are handsome, beautiful, and wonderfully made. So I want to speak some strength to you tonight about this roommate that you got in your soul way too long. I want to read from you to you on page 8. Some of you might already have this book that's been in my sessions. But I talked about here in this particular chronicle, I talked about, I think on page 8, I said, in these chronicles, there is so much to share as it relates to attachments. And so this E attachments is talking about your emotional attachment. That's what that E stands for. I go on to say that I won't go into too much further than what I have shared so far concerning blood type personalities. Now, I shared a little bit about that in this book, but I didn't go in depth as I did into the book that I talked about blood type personalities. You want to get that book. I want to fight. I want to first give an overview of what I mean by rethinking intentions. This is very important. I want you to write that down, to think about rethinking my intentions, and that's the reason why you have this soul hoarding in your soul. So rethinking intentions before we venture into the blood type personality. And so I jump over to page 9 and I say, okay, now as we look at this to see what has happened to us consciously or unconsciously, we must also think about the person that seeks relationships only to gratify his or her own emotionally deficient needs. Okay. Remember, I talked about sin, capital C dot, capital E dot, capital N dot, that childhood emotional neglect. Many of us, again, are trying to parent people, as I said earlier on, or they're trying to make sure that they control them because they have been controlled or rejected, okay, or abandoned for some reason, the needs are not met. Then we can know that it's not always about sex. We will know it's about emotions on every level. And when we look to find in a relationship conscious or unconscious unmet emotional need, we easily form attachment blood type personalities intentionally. This happens, and that's how the soul hoarding begins to start to connect. All right. So, what shows us in this part that these two, the emotional attachment and the blood type personality intentions, are identical? What shows us that? Whether it's happening to a male or a female, what happens is that even though they may know that they are emotionally attached, they still feel that the relationship is replaceable due to the unconscious soul hoarding. So they keep on getting these sexual relationships, they keep on getting these dating relationships, even though they might not even have sex with them, they begin to hoard them in their soulish realm because now they feel this emotional attachment, whether they've had sex or not, and they have this other part of them beyond sex hoarding in their soul. So this means that the emotional intention came from that past relationship experience, even though it may have been their first time in these experiences. Lord help us today. And that's so sad. Many of us are getting these experiences with people. And one of the things I've learned, I'm going to talk about that in the spiritual awakening as God leads me. That's why I'm on here tonight, because I ain't got nothing else and to speak to you. But I want you to know that this gives me great joy to be able to pull people out of fire and share whatever God shared with me in my time of experience through these things. But I bless God to remind you that I'm not 100 on everything. But one thing I have been in, and that is experienced quite a few things at my age, nearly 70 now. So I'm here to help a sister and a brother out, free, what it would cost you to have a counseling session with me. I want you to know that this is one of the things that I believe is be able to give some light in dark places. And that's why I love network. You can get on here and you can talk, and whoever get it, hopefully they'll get it in some type of way through these channels here. But it goes on to say on page 9 of this book, when a person becomes emotionally attached from the relationship, whether it is the first or second time after their initial contact with that relationship, this is how the attachment is connected and manifested. So let's look at what I mean by the emotional attachment and intentions. Okay. Not all physical thoughts, whether we are seeing something, voicing, and or thinking about something in a relationship, as far as an emotional attachment is concerned, no emotional formation can exist without consciousness. Did you know that? It ain't even trying to come without you got your mind on them, without you thinking about them. Did they touch you in a certain way that made you think about them? That touch reminded you of an old touch? Or, did they kiss you and they kissed a certain way? Okay. You're conscious about it. You're not unconscious at all. And so the other part that I want to share is that every relationship experience and every change with the relationship that we experience is going to reflect our intention for the relationship. So just think about that. You already know why you want to hook up with them. It's in your soulish realm because the last one left it there and you never uprooted it. You just let it stay there because it was something that you remembered about them or something you don't want to forget about them. So you just hoard it. Lord help us today. And so I want you to know that ultimately the intention not only gives you this a desire, it is the use of our own selfish will. So I want you to think about it. If you do not like the relationship that you have with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and some of y'all don't even like it with your married spouse, you just married because of convenience and you just don't feel like going through no divorce because you feel like God gonna curse you, but yet you're miserable. You still hoarding these other people in your life, thinking about the oral sex they gave you, thinking about the thing they made you feel, but your spouse is not giving you that, but they taking care of you, been there. So you want to be there or keep them there anyway, hoarding in your soul, and you really don't even want to be with them. You're just there. Lord help us all today. And this is the reason why many of us are dealing with this unconscious part that's causing us so much secret pain. I go on to say that this boyfriend or your friend, even, they ain't got to be sexual. They can be heterosexual and they can just be a sister, girlfriend, or a friend. Because remember, this is an attachment we're talking about here tonight. That means it's in your emotional realm and you have not let it go. I go on to say, and you know you would like to feel different about them, but when put in a position to encounter them, you have a certain relationship personality that you choose not to emotionally connect with that person. Now you got a whole nother ego going on. And you know you do because first of all, you don't like the fact that they've got you feeling this way and that it's still sitting in your soul, but yet you still act it out. Now you're mad because you're thinking about them. You get up in the morning thinking about them. You go to bed thinking about them. You thinking about, you hate you gave your sex and all this stuff. This means that the relationship will not change for the better. However, if you truly desire to change your relationship, that change begins with the intention to change it without being emotionally attached. And that's the fight right there. Without being emotionally attached when it's already sitting in your soul. So how would it change? How can you change the intention then, Dr. Murphy, that you said it would become? This means that you're either conscious or unconscious of the intention of the emotional attachment and you're allowing it to flow anyway. And so if you intend that your relationship with that person has become harmonious and loving, then the intention will open you to a new perception. That means now you know that it's something that God intends and not your flesh. It's something that God has put together. We ain't talking about same sex. We're talking about heterosexual here because I don't even see that at all. I can't see that to be possible. Love, true, sells love, and love is defined in only one way but is demonstrated in many ways. Okay, but you need a new perception to think about what I'm saying here with you tonight. And many times, these perceptions soon become evident that there is an emotional attachment. This allows you the opportunity to see that maybe the emotional attachment that you have for that relationship, and in this loving way, you have grown to know the person, or it will allow you to see the absence of that love that is not really real. You think it's real. You think it's a passion. But if that is the case, it is only emotional. It is not anything real. It's because you have so many issues of the same in your soulish realm that never came out. You need counseling. Okay. I go on to say on page 10, I really want to reiterate the fact that authentic love, even though only you can clearly see what it is from the perspective of the attachment that you already got in your soul, then it is necessary to quickly change an attachment relationship if it's achievable. That means you need to start to change your thoughts, change your ways, change your intention to be with that person, change what you decide to do in regards to spending time with that person and so on, for you to be able to get it to shift. If you can face the fact that you may be only emotionally attached and not in love, okay, designed by God, or if you intend to end the relationship, ending it will begin with an intention to end it, not to just think about ending it. You got the intentions, you got the plan from God. You want to make sure you do it according to His purpose and time so that it will not be painful for either one of you, even though you're still going to have it in your soulish realm that you need to be delivered from, because it's sitting right there until you get it up out of your conscious and your unconscious soulish realm. It's got to come out in order for you to heal and get set free. This intentional mindset will create in you a restlessness. And that's the point I want to make here when I talk more about intentions in this first part, because you will feel less and less fulfilled with that relationship if you don't think about what I'm telling you here tonight. You feel this openness to others in a way that you have not felt before. Now, this has a dangerous period in your life. The higher you begin to look at yourself, the more you feel that there's a conflict between conscious and unconscious of what you're doing, and that you allow yourself to do because of what's in the soulish realm. You'll begin to feel torn because of these two dynamics you know about yourself, and they'll make you feel that these emotions are the opposing forces that you can't see because of your intentions of the attachments. Now, I'm going to close with this. You may have this conscious intention to improve your relationship, even though you know it's not one of love, but it's of an attachment, an emotional hoarding. And simultaneously, your unconscious intentions is there. As you are willfully watching the relationship end, you don't know why you still feel so attached to that person. But if the unconscious intention is there and everything feels strong, and you still feel strong about a different relationship that you know you have no intentions to continue in that relationship, that means a conscious intention is there that you and you really want to improve it. God is letting you know that it can happen, but you're not sure why you're remaining in that relationship. Okay, that means there's a restlessness from the attachment. That means it's so strong that you're unconscious about it. And that's why I'm talking about this, so that you will know you have this lack of fulfillment. This means that silently, the tormenting secrets and this lack of fulfillment eventually, with all these different soul hoarding attachment issues that you're experiencing, you will have to figure out how you're going to overcome the conscious intentions. Unconsciously, your intentions could become more loving and harmonious within your relationship, whether you're dating, married, or single. But if the conscious intention is to transform your relationship, is sincere, then guess what? You will begin to see that this experience that you're feeling is what you, the restlessness, the lack of fulfillment, and openness to other people, will cause you to be able to maintain a better way to come out of this through getting some healing and deliverance counseling, because you have this strong drawing in the emotional realm with someone and you don't understand why. It's because you're experiencing what I call a splinter, like something you cut. As splintered, a splintered personality that may need deliverance or therapy to revive your fragmented soul. I'm going to stop there. I pray that God will help you realize that He wants to get you to understand and fulfill your divine purpose, and that you can have a more divine and godly intimacy from a touch rather than getting your soul tied up through the touch, and get some recovery, from this unconscious or conscious soul tie that is clearly allowing these particular issues that you went through, knowing that you need soul recovery from these soul hoarding so you can have completeness in your soul, so you can live a decent life without having these memories of these old relationships or old situation, old pain, and old hurts and things like that that you think that you're unconscious about, but yet it is riding you in your conscience. I pray that you get some help. I pray that God will allow you to meet with us on the 9th of June to take part in this part that I think that many of us need to really get some counsel about and get some leadership about. Again, I'm not 100, but these 50 plus years, God has anointed me and appointed me in many things. So I believe from experience, it'll be able to help us sister and brother out. Please join us June 29th, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time, simply by dialing in 281-671-4577. That is a free pre-certification class through CEUs that I'll be giving. And the book that I've been talking about tonight is entitled that's TACHMENTS, Attachments, Foresight, Unconscious Blood Type Personalities. Well, I'm going to say good night. I pray, Father, that they've heard from the Spirit that you've given me to be able to share this tonight. I pray, God, that all the things that I share here, Lord God, and praying that all the souls that I touch tonight, God, that you'll let it be for my seed. I pray about the countless souls that may be hoarding in their soul. I pray, God, that even though they may be conscious or unconscious about it, I decree and I declare that healing will come, deliverance will come, and they'll be strengthened and be more aware of the things that's holding them back. I speak perfection to your soul. I pray that everything that's been fragmented and divided in your soul, that you'll come back together with sanctification and regeneration. And I speak completeness and wholeness to you even now. In Jesus' name. God bless you. I pray that you'll get a chance to hear me the next time I come. Thank you for being here. Good night.